What's going on, Colts Nation? We are back with Bleav in Colts. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, is my boy, Jerraud Powers.
Yes,
What's
sir.
going on, man? How was your weekend?
Weekend was good, man. Kind of flew by. I had a lot going on. My baby sister got married, so I wasn't able to keep up with much news this weekend with just being busy with wedding stuff. But had a fun time. Weddings are always fun.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I had a wedding with my niece uh, just a couple months ago. So, yeah, I get it. Yeah, it was that's always great. Glad you had a enjoyable weekend then, at least, get away from the normality of life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, a lot to go over this week, definitely, especially today. Some news dropped, and we will get to that in just one moment. But it is that time of year as college basketball takes center stage with the tournament finally upon us. If you're looking to wager this year, BetOnline is the number one spot for all your updated odds and info, along with great contests, including the bracket contest, where you have a chance to take home the top prize. Head over to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code Bleav, that's BLEAV, to get started. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. BetOnline, where the game starts. So, interesting signing this morning, JP. We get a former head coach to go along as a senior defensive assistant. What's your thoughts on the John Fox signing?
I like it, man. I'm a big believer in you can't have too much knowledge, too much experience in a room, and I just think that's what he brings to the table. He's been a part of a bunch of successful teams, some successful defenses. He's seen it all when it's come to his career and things that he can bring to the table. So just to add that experience and knowledge to the group, man, I'm excited about it. Just means there's going to be more ideas and more communication on different ways and angles you can attack this thing going forward. As far as with the defense, another brilliant mind, and as a player, you just gotta think now. We're gonna be way more than prepared. On defense with all this experience that we have in the room. So I'm excited about it, man. I like it as a fan.
Yeah, I do too. Like I said, you broke it down brilliantly on exactly what it brings to the team. Because Fox is a little bit different. He likes to bring pressure. He likes to
Mm-hmm.
bring that extra guy or two, occasionally, especially when he was, over with the Panthers and the Bears and stuff like that. So I do like it because that gives you different eyes on the situation. But at the same time, I brought up a point before we got started here. There's that whole cooks in the kitchen thing, and it worries me a little bit because all these guys, we now have three guys. Now, obviously, Frank Reich ain't going to be touching the defensive side of play calling. If he does, then there's a problem and something needs to change. But you got two guys who have been former head coaches now on the defense, which on paper looks fan freaking tastic, but
Right.
you talk about they have different ideas and different ways of doing things. Could that cause a problem in like maybe like differences of opinion on what should be called? Would obviously, since he's a senior assistant, Fox would still have to maybe give his opinion, but then defer because obviously he's not the DC.
Yeah, that's exactly how it's gonna go. And like I said, I think it's gonna, happen more so in just helping. It's not necessarily gonna be John Fox coming in and trying to say, this is the right way to do it and the way you guys are thinking is wrong. It's not gonna be one of those type situations, because I'm pretty sure during this whole process of them even hiring him, there was already discussions on about how it's going to take place, what your actual role going to be going forward. And this is a business and people are professionals, and everybody know when it comes to business and professionals, you just have your job to do. And I think he's going to have a specific role, specific job within the defense that, these are his responsibilities and we want his ideas and his take on these specific responsibilities. And that's going to be it. It's not going to be more so of, John Fox trying to come in and tell Gus what he needs to do or what not to do. Because like I said, all of these guys have more than enough experience and more than qualified, to do these jobs. So now it's about everybody just doing whatever their role is within the machine itself, and that's the organization.
So, what exactly, you talk about fresh eyes? Did you ever? Obviously, most likely you had. Do you have any experience with John Fox? I'm not saying personally, but playing against his teams. Is there anything that you saw from his defenses that you like that possibly they might be implemented with this team?
I mean, just everywhere he's been, he's just known to bring pressure and kind of have different ways of going about it. He's one of those guys that tries to get the quarterback to guess wrong. Disguising things of that nature. I mean, you think about when he was with Chicago and what they was known for during that time. It was their defense and how well their defense was playing. So he's just another guy that's just going to add that dimension of flexibility when it comes to maybe possibly using Kenny Moore in some different ways and styles that maybe he did with some nickels that was similar to just whatever that his expertise is or his experiences in the past that kind of resembles this Colts defense. That's what he's going to add, a little bit of flavor to what we already have on that side of the ball.
Hey, Colts fans, thanks for watching DeQuell and I here on Bleav in Colts. While you're at this, please take a moment to smash the like button, hit subscribe if you're not subscribed, tag that notification bell so that you are notified next time we upload a video or go live so that you can join in the conversation. Don't forget you can share this stream. That would help us out a ton. If you enjoy this, share it. All you got to do is go right over here and click the share button, little red share button down here underneath, and share it to your favorite social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, wherever, doesn't matter. Thank you so much. On behalf of myself and DeQuell Jackson, have a good one. Enjoy the rest of the show. So the Colts ended up signing another coach, which was completely unexpected. And yet what a lot of fans are expecting has yet to happen. Not only has yet to happen, but throughout this entire offseason process, through the end of season to the pressers at draft days and interviews and stuff, Chris Ballard and Frank Reich have been incredibly bullish about how much they Bleav in the current skill positions for the Indianapolis Colts, talking specifically talking about the wide receiver group. A lot of fans want Chris Ballard to go out and grab another wide receiver that's out there on the market, on free agency market. But Frank Reich just came out today and discussed about how they're not going to just go get somebody because of a name, that drew a lot of backlash that I'm seeing out there on social media right now, talking about you have to get weapons, right, for Matt Ryan, or otherwise you're wasting him. That's basically what they're out there saying. I'm curious. I'm not so sure he's actually saying that they're not going after actual free agents at the wide receiver position. I think he's most likely saying we're not just going to go grab a name and throw out a bunch of money to somebody to overpay for someone that may not fit what we're looking to do. I don't see it like that way, but it does sound like he does like the wide receiver position. What are your thoughts on this?
Just hearing him speak, I remember a couple pods ago we were talking about how they spoke out against Carson Wentz, and it made it clear as day what the plan was going forward. It wasn't any more speculation. You knew they were getting ready to move on because of that. I think it's another situation where they're speaking out to let fans know that they like what they have in that room, and the only way that they're going to add to it is if it comes in and it fits. And I think when you think about some of the wide receivers that's still out there, I know everybody was, talking about the Julio marriage and how him and Matt Ryan can maybe rekindle some things or whatever the case may be. Like, yeah, but everybody also know that Julio is not just about jump and sign right away. I think you got some time when it comes to the veteran market of good receivers that still left. So of course you want to do your due diligence. And then when you look at the draft and you look at that wide receiver room in the draft, it's a lot of good young wide receivers in this upcoming draft. And then when you think about the wide receivers of today's game, they're coming in and they're ready to go. I mean, you look at the Justin Jeffersons, the Jamar Chases, and the DK Metcalf and AJ Brown. Like, you look at those guys and receivers are ready to go now. So who's to say that you can't draft, that one guy, in that first round or second round, and he's not going to come in and be ready to go, because you have some pieces in the wide receiver room like Michael Pittman and Parrish, and the guys in the room. So if you like the room that you have now, and you like the wide receiver group that's in the draft, yeah, you're going to do your due diligence before you just start grabbing a name or whatever the case may be, because it's some talent out there. And like I said, the young guys are coming in ready to go right away. And I know I'm yapping a bit, but adding Reggie Wayne to that wide receiver room as a coach, whatever that group right now might be lacking in, maybe that was the real reason why they felt like they needed Reggie back this year, because if it's mentality, Reggie's going to fix it. If it's a little bit of route running, Reggie's going to fix it. So if you like that wide receiver room, and then you look at the wide receiver coach and what he's going to add to them already, so you already got a vision on what they're going to look like going forward this year, maybe it's going to be more than enough weapons to fit Matt Ryan and the system that's about to be in place with him and Coach Wright.
Well, I mean, like we said, we have yet to really see. We've seen a little bit from Paris Campbell, but obviously, his injuries have kept him off the field for the majority of his 3 years. If he could stay healthy, I have full faith that I think Paris Campbell would be a fantastic receiver. But there's a lot of guys on the team that, haven't really had that big chance. Your Ashton Doolin, your Des Patmans, and guys like that. So, Ballard and Reich seem pretty bullish on the talent that they have right there. And I'm okay with it if they honestly believe that. If they believe that the upgrade at quarterback makes that wide receiver room that much better. That is a real thing. You just got done talking about Reggie Wayne being the coach, and I would like you, if you don't mind, to go back in time a little bit in your head and try to remember a little bit about practices, against Reggie and what it was like trying to defend him in practices.
First of all, I just Reggie is one of my best friends. Like I said, just was talking to him last night. So he is an asshole when it comes to how it can be. He still sends me one-on-one clips from practice, and things like that. Like, he still critiques himself to this day when it comes to the game. Like, he's still one of those guys that's a perfectionist. So I remember my first training camp. I'm a third round draft pick. I'm going to a team. You got Marlon Jackson, you got Tim Jennings, you got Kelvin Hayton. You got a good group that's been there a while. And, I'm able to go through training camp, make a couple plays, because it was always ones going against the threes or the fours or whatever the case. So those were my reps. All of my reps came against the best of the best as a rookie. And I remember making a couple plays on Reggie and Peyton, my first training camp. And Reggie, like, before I can even walk off the field and practice, him and Peyton was already asking me, what did I see? What gave this route away? What was the flaw in the execution from my perspective? And that was the first time I ever had that happen to me. And going forward, Reggie was like a big brother to me. So every practice, every rep, one-on-ones, everything, whenever he beat me, he's telling me like what he saw in my technique or what he saw in what I did. And then when I make plays, he's getting that same feedback. So he's going to be a perfectionist. when it comes to that wide receiver room. He's not going to accept any type of excuses, when it comes to players not being able to execute. You're talking about a guy that nobody considered was really the fastest, a guy that everybody was questioning at one point. Could he take over the throne from Marvin Harrison and be the true number one? Like, you had a guy that, everybody thought that he was just a product of Peyton's success. And then a rookie quarterback comes in and he has one of his best seasons, ever. So you got a guy that's going to prove a lot of people that he's more than capable of making a wide receiver room look a certain type of way or play a certain type of style. Again, never saw Reggie miss practice ever, in my 4 years there. Like, never missed a meeting, always on time, always first one in, last one out. So he's going to bring a certain level of professionalism, I guess, from his perspective to that room. And when you look at that room and the young guys that still almost have a clean slate, still kind of raw when it comes to being a professional, he's going to be the reason that you're going to see the growth in some of these young players and these young guys like Matt Ryan bringing to the table. It's not like you're dealing with a rookie quarterback or a young quarterback. Matt Ryan is going to be talking the same language as Reggie. They competed versus each other. They competed versus each other in their prime of their careers. So that's what I mean by far as what these guys are going to bring to the locker room and bring to these players. It's a certain style or a certain way to go about your business. And when you're young, you're soaking everything up right now. Like that, like anything these leaders tell you when you're a young player, you're soaking it up because you don't know. You don't know the business side. You don't know the true meaning of staying healthy and doing whatever you got to take. It's all about your growth. And I think that's what's going to make the difference as far as who we got at quarterback right now and who we got in that wide receiver room, as far as the growth of some young players that's kind of soaking everything in.
Is that a common thing when between offensive and defensive players when they're matching up against each other to ask each other, hey, how do I make myself better? How this is what I think you could do to make yourself better?
Yeah, especially when you're on the same team. Sometimes you might have some relationships with some opponents, but you're not giving each other any feedback until it's like off-season type stuff to where, and you're not even, being honest with yourself then, because again, they're the ops, so we say. But when you're on the same team, I think if you ask any great wide receiver, any great DB or anybody that played, you're definitely trying to help each other out because the ultimate goal is to win. And then once the season starts, that's the team. There's no more somebody being jealous of the next guy because he's getting like once the team is set, you got to play whatever role you is to help that team win. Like there's no more competition, if that makes sense. Like the whole competing stuff went all the way up until week one. Now it's more about trying to keep guys healthy, and if you're not doing your job, you'll get fired just like any other job. So and the next guy's ready. So I think the great ones do that a lot. You hear Deion Sanders and Jerry Rice talk about their one-on-one matchups and the conversations that they used to have. And, I think if you just go back to any type of great wide receiver, whoever that DB was on that team that they faced a lot, they definitely was trying to help each other out.
Well, it's kind of interesting you talk about, it seems like kind of a mental flip between training camp, preseason, hitting to that, final 53 cut and then going to the regular season, being a competition, you got to earn your roster spot, right?
Right.
Last training camp, it was well known, Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson had foot surgeries, right off the bat, right? And they were sidelined for basically all training camp and preseason. And I would sit there and watch while the offensive line were doing drills. And Quentin Nelson would just walk out there after every one and sit there and talk to these young offensive linemen, coaching them, showing them what, technique issues and stuff. And I think that's a benefit when you have somebody who is already established, he's got his roster spot. That's fine, right? That's he can go out and do that, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like somebody like Quentin Nelson, listen, big fella, if you don't feel like practicing today, you ain't got to practice today. We just need you ready for Sunday. Some people have that, right? Like Dwight Freeney wasn't the type of guy that was going to practice every single day. Like we knew we needed Dwight Freeney on Sunday, but some people it's just in their routine that they got to go through every single thing, or they don't feel like they're completely prepared for that ultimate game or whatever the case may be. So like somebody like Quinn Nelson, also though on the flip side, he don't have to go out there and coach those guys. That he's doing that off of the nature of he's just a great guy that wants to help out these young players or whatnot. But there's some pros out there that no, they're not about to do that, because they look, and it's not wrong, because they're more so looking at it like, I'm teaching this young guy how to take my spot essentially. Like I'm giving this young guy my jewels and what I do and all that type of stuff. When in the back of your head, it's a numbers game. And if it's a young guy that's just as good as you, and you're an older vet that's making all this money, and they think this young guy can give the same production as this older guy, that they're going to kick you out the door first thing, just because it's a bottom line when it comes to the money and organization. So for Quinn to do that, and most coaches do that. Like when I was there, like the older guys didn't have to accept me in like they did, knowing that I was there competing. They drafted me, which at the time, 3rd round was considered a high pick. You get drafted 3rd round DB, and Tim Jennings like was one of the first guys that be like, nah, come over here, watch film with me. He's in his 3rd year, haven't really established himself yet. Marlon Jackson's already established, and he's taking me out to dinner and all this type of stuff before I even step on a field, just to try to make me feel comfortable. So the Colts are known for having those type of players that just want to help and see the next guy succeed and win. And that's why the Colts have always had a good rap when it comes from a well-ran organization.
Yeah, locker room situation. I mean, the Colts are known league wide for their locker room, especially now. But during your time as well, right? The locker room is a big deal. I think that has a major factor in the Mike Mitchell hire, right? He came in as a veteran. Obviously his position was kind of on the fence, on being a starter because of his age and how long he's been. And they were trying to get, he knew that the Colts were going to try to get younger at some point. But yet still he came in and he was coaching these guys up underneath of them. And the Colts organization, the brass, saw this, and it stuck with them. And that's, I feel like that is the reason why he got hired to be an assistant DB's coach. So, it does pay off, not just now at the time, but if it's something that you're looking into doing later on, that's kind of a feather in your bonnet, I guess, is a way to put it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this whole thing is all about forming relationships. Like you don't ever want to cross any paths on a professional level to where you've burnt a relationship or don't want to deal with. It's always a professional way of going about things. And if people follow Mike through his career, like you're talking about a passionate guy. Like Mike played the game in a passionate way. He didn't have friends. He didn't play in a format to where he was worried about his opponent. Whatever team Mike was on, he was 100% committed and all in to doing whatever he had to do to help that team win, whether it was trying to get under the skin of the opponent, tight end or wide receiver, a little late hit here or there. Like Mike brought it all to the table. So like, just like I was complimenting Reggie on what he's going to bring to that room, just think about the attitude and the confidence that Mike is going to bring as a coach now, to this room. Like, of course he brought it as a player, but now being in a room to where he's 100% healthy and he ain't worried about his knee hurting or his shoulder hurting, he can fully just invest and be passionate with those guys. Like, it's going to be great. And that's what the Colts are known for. I mean, they're known for just having great people within the organization. I mean, from the head man in charge to the janitor, everybody's treated the same in that building. And that's where the respect comes from. That's why you get a lot of feedback from former players or people that's been through it or been here. Like you don't ever hear people having too many bad things to say, minus those couple years Grigson was running the ship. And I even think he's more apologetic now in some of the things that he's done. But Coach just known for being just having great people in the building, man.
All right, I'm putting you on the spot again, just because of what you just said. It brings up a question. Now, I remember I was going to ask you back when you first got on here, and I never did. So, You talk about the locker room and how important these guys are, all the way from the head coach down to the janitor. Can you name me a person in your time with the Colts organization that was not a coach or a player, but just, someone that worked in the building or something, where that person stood out to you and made your time here better for you?
Well, I can name the equipment guys like T and Frog. Those were my guys. The trainer staff with Aaron Burrell and all those guys, like those were my people. Love those guys. But outside of them, I remember Miss Stephanie, and she's active on Twitter to this day, Miss Stephanie Paul. I forget what her exact title was when I was there. But she was one of the first ladies that when the rookies came in, she was like that mother figure in the coach building, that if we needed anything, or if our parents was worried about this or that, Stephanie was going to make sure everybody felt comfortable and felt good. So Miss Stephanie Paul would be one for sure. And I don't think the chef that we had is still there. I think there's a new chef, but I haven't been inside the building in a few years, so I don't know who's still around. But I'm pretty sure if I walked inside just to see some folks, I'll see some of the same faces for sure.
Oh, we got to get that taken care of, man. We got to get a hold of some guys out there in that organization and get
Oh, for
you up
sure. No,
there.
DT, my guy, I talk to DT all the time. It's just I haven't been, like I said, we came back for the Chiefs game last year for Rob's ring of
Mm-hmm.
honor thing, and I just got to get back to the city more. That's all. Yeah, that's not the coach's fault. They're actively, every week I get an email from the coach trying to get former players to come back or whatnot. They do a great job of just keeping everybody updated with everything's going on and all that. So I just been lazy as a retired athlete, I guess.
This channel is proudly sponsored by the Backroom Collection. They do beautiful sports canvas art with football, basketball, baseball, and other sports themes. Special orders are accepted and autograph pieces are available. Many Indianapolis Colts signed pieces will be available beginning in November. Just use your discount code CL10 to purchase the pieces you want to spice up your living area. That's CL10. Hey, you earned your time to live your life. So, all right. Going into the back to the wide receiver situation. Obviously we discussed it. I think Chris Ballard talked about it on an interview with Pat McAfee, where having not had your quarterback set kind of delayed free agency when it came to the offense, especially wide receivers, because you're not going to be able to sign a wide receiver. No wide receiver is going to want to sign if you don't know who the heck's throwing you the football, right?
Right.
We've had now a wide receiver, the quarterback for a week now, and we talk about how they're all really, really patient, right? At this point in free agency, these are the guys that are looking for the right fit, the right money, just the right everything for them. And everybody's naming off guys like Julio Jones, as you talked about, Jarvis Landry, Will Fuller, bringing back T.Y. Hilton, guys like that. But there are some wide receivers out there, still quite a bit of decent ones, right? In my opinion, guys like D.D. Westbrook, guys like Adam Humphries, guys that I honestly believe could be a benefit to the team that aren't going to cost as much money. And in all honesty, that seems more like a Chris Ballard move to me anyhow.
Yeah, I think that it's a number of guys that might fit what the coach are trying to do, and they're just doing their due diligence. I don't think that even though we got Matt Ryan and the quarterback situation is fixed for the time being, you still got a up and coming receiver that got some potential in Michael Pittman. Like you still got a couple pieces that that it's not like you're looking for this home run type hire, if that makes sense. You know, there's enough guys out here, and I'm pretty sure they're in communication with a number of guys and watching certain people to where if the dominoes start to affect, you'll see guys start to pull the trigger a little faster. It's just, I think like you said, the group of quality receivers that's still out there, then you add the draft, just makes that situation, I guess, better in a sense to where we don't have to rush into signing, whoever it is that everybody think that we should sign. Like, you really got time to see who's out there, like what style receiver. Like Matt Ryan is used to having a Adam Humphries type of player in his system, far as somebody that can move the chains. He's always had, whether that's a tight end or whether that's some slot that it was a safety net go to move the chains. And then he's always had the home run threat in Julio. So I think when you look at Matt Ryan and what he brings to the table, one of those pieces, that we're thinking is going to be the Julio of, I guess, in that mold is Michael Pittman, as far as a guy that can stretch the field, take the top ball, make big time catches, mismatch problems, things like that. I think we're looking more so as that one receiver that Matt Ryan can count on every third down, that he can get open and move the chains. And that's where it gets tricky. It's not like you're looking for, a Julio in a sense. No, you're looking for just pieces that's going to be, problems within this system, that's going to always be a mismatch or some type of mismatch type situation, whether it's, the tight end having to guard a linebacker and it's a great receiving, catching type of tight end. And if you look at our roster, we're looking for a receiving type of tight end that's going to be a threat in this system. And then, like I said, the slot, and I think everything else will just take care of itself.
Yeah, when it comes to the tight end, that is one thing that Jack Doyle retiring kind of hits in a spot, because he wasn't necessarily known as a great receiving tight end, but he was always that safety blanket that quarterbacks could rely on to find that open spot for a first down when they needed it.
Yep, I agree.
And that's something that they're going to need to find coming up. And another thing, obviously, I don't think we're done on the defense either. I really don't. We signed a cornerback from the Raiders, and obviously we traded the Raiders for Yannick, but I feel like there's still at least one more piece on the defense that the Colts could go out and get and solidify and make this defense even more of a threat. Does it mean going and getting Tyron or Gilly? I don't know,
Right.
But again, one more scheme fit piece, in my opinion, is really what needs to happen.
I think Gilly and James Bradbury are waiting on each other to see which who's going to go where. I think they're kind of the two top corners that they know are going to be difference makers on whatever team they sign, and they're just trying to see who's going to sign first, so the other one can get $1 more than than the next. But if Stephon goes to the Raiders, like, I know he took a visit and did all that. I like James Bradbury's style of play fits the coach style of play as well. I like that, but I don't think the Colts are done on the defensive side of the ball at all. It's still some pieces to where we can get better at, even though we got some staples. It's a couple areas that's of importance that we need, and a top corner is one of them for sure. Maybe another pass rusher as well.
Absolutely. Now, that's something that I was thinking about. When you bring a guy in who is a defensive guy, right? Like John Fox, you bring in a John Fox. Obviously, he has a lot of history in the NFL. He's been around a long, long time, but he probably knows some guys. He probably has connections with guys. When the DC was hired, he brought in guys he knew that he liked for the specific system. Do you think there's a situation where John Fox could do something very similar?
Nah, and the reason why I say no is because it's not John Fox's defense. Now, if he was the defensive coordinator, yes. I just more so think Like if guys sign, it's going to be more of Gus type of guys that you can go back in his past and see the size or the speed or the style, and just know the type of guys that he's going to bring in as far as former players and players going forward. I think John Fox hire is literally just for his mind and what he brings to the table, not necessarily like his former players. Because like I said, at the end of the day, defensive assistants don't get fired. The DC gets fired. The OC gets fired. So, you're not going to put, too many eggs in an assistant's basket, when it's not his job necessarily on the line. So it'll be more Gus players getting signed. And I still think John is just in for his mind.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you want to discuss before we finish this episode off?
Man, I think that was pretty cool. That was good.
I think so too. I think it was great, guys. We are going to have we're planning on a special guest this Wednesday, so I'm not going to give the name out and spoil it all, but I will say keep an eye out for the next upload for the next Bleav in Colts. Should be Wednesday, maybe Thursday, depending upon how much editing is done. But make sure you check that out. Don't forget, share this out with your favorite social media. Help get word out about the podcast, because the best way of us getting exposure is through you guys. So we appreciate you very, very much. I think that's going to do it for this episode of Bleav in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. And until next time, I'm Lawrence Owen. That's Jerraud Powers. And as usual, go Colts.